Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Got a new Cardfight Vanguard video for you guys today. And today I am bringing you guys a gem I wasn't even planning on messing with, but my chat during my last stream was just like, try this deck out. And I'm telling you, I'm in love. This deck is crazy. So this is the new start deck coming out, or at least with a couple tweaks. And out of the box, this is the best start deck that Bushy has ever released. This needs to be the standard for start decks going forward because this was insane. You buy 4 of these and you have an actual, like, really good competitive deck. Like, I'm talking like easy high B, low A with no tweaking. And then you can tweak it and push it to the next level. If you actually look at what we have here, we have almost all of the cards straight from the trial deck with just a couple tweaks. We're going to talk about the deck, talk about the skills, why this is so nuts, and then we're going to jump into a game because you guys see this deck in action. I read these effects, well, at least I glazed over them, didn't realize how nuts they work together, but I'm telling you, this feels crazy. Built-in crit pressure, built-in 5 attacks, like in a start deck. This is insane. But if you guys enjoy this kind of video, drop a like on the video, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Let's jump in, check it out. Alright, I don't know why I have my headphones on, I don't need them. Alright, so obviously we have our starter. So first off, I love the name Estacion. It's actually Spanish for season, and the dragons all represent the different seasons, with the main boss being all 4. So Estacion is our main, our starter, though you can run any starter in this. Some of the translations are a little weird. I'm not exactly sure how they're supposed to. This is supposed to be, but you'll hear the wording and some of these effects be weird. So Legend of Rambo Estacion. Auto when this unit is placed upon by Legend of Rajo Estacion. So it should just say when this unit is rode upon by Legend of Rajo Estacion, because it's talking about the grade 2. You Soul Blast 1 Estacion, reveal a grade 3 with Estacion and its card name from the ride deck, and call a blast token to the back row center. So obviously you don't see blast token here in the deck because it is a token that comes from outside the game. So I'll show you guys it right now. This is our blast token. This thing has 4 built-in effects. So this represents a blast token and cannot be put into the deck. So blast token, what it does. Continuous rear guard. This unit cannot move to other circles, and if you have a Vanguard with Estacion and its card name, it gets all of the following. This unit cannot be affected by anything of your opponent's cards. This is a weird wording. This is one of those ones that's weird. So obviously it's unaffected by card effects, so it can't be retired, can't be locked, can't be bound, none of that. But we got into a big conversation with my chat where it's, can this card be attacked? It says it's unaffected by anything of your opponent's cards. I don't know. That just, like I said, just sounds really, really specific. So unfortunately we have to wait for a ruling on that when the card comes out. Assumedly, you can attack it. We also had a discussion about Sacrifice Glass with Sweet Bait, because Sweet Bait gives the skill to the opposing player that all of their cards lose their abilities. So would that erase this card's protection? That ability is still coming from an opponent's card. I'm not sure because it is attached to the player. Those are the two that we were just like, I don't know. Alright, you have act rear guard once per turn. You have 2 or more other rear guards. Put up to 3 of them face up as this unit's plant gauge and draw a card. So this deck revolves around plant gauges similar to Granthea. And this lets you automatically turn your rear guards into plant gauges. Now, it says you have to have at least 2 or more other rear guards. You can put up to 3 of them face up in this unit's plant gauge and draw a card. You can put 1 and draw a card. You can put 2 to draw a card, you can put 3 to draw a card. It doesn't specify how many you need to put in, but you have to have at least 2 other rear guards. This is nuts because of how the whole plant gauge thing works in this deck, and when I start talking about the effects, you're going to see why a -2, getting rid of 3 rear guards to draw 1 card, is fine. And then the last skill, continuous rear guard during your turn. If you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard, all your front row units get power plus 5,000 for every 3 of this unit's gauge. I'm telling you, it's so easy. But anyway, that's what the blast token does, and the grade 1 gives you the blast token when you ride grade 2. Now, Legend of Rajo Estacion. When this unit is placed by riding Legend of Rambo Estacion, search your deck for up to one Vital Blaze Blast, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle the deck. So, when you ride Grade 2, you get your Blast token, and you get to search our order, which is Vital Blaze Blast. This thing is also great, and super strengthens the early game of this deck. Well, the entire gameplay of this deck. So normally I would wait till we got to that in the deck profile, but I'm going to talk about this now so you can understand what you can do turn 2. So, you play this with a Soul Blast 1 if you have a Vanguard with Estacion on its card name. Not restricted by grade. It's a grade 2 order. Put this card face up as your Blast token's plant gauge. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Choose up to one unit with grade less than or equal to your Vanguard. From among them, call it to rear guard and shuffle the deck. If you did not call a card, call up to one plant token. So, this turns itself into a gauge for your Blast token and either calls a dude off the top 5 or calls a plant token, so you're always going to get a dude off of this. Auto, when this card as plant gauge is discarded during your turn, choose one of your blast units, and it gets 5,000 power till end of turn. So all of the units, the actual units that come in the start deck, are blasts. All 4 of the dragons that represent, the different seasons. As well as, our main grade 3. So we always have those blast units live. Now, our actual main grade 3. Now, this card good. This card real good. Alright. Act Vanguard once per turn if you have a blast token, which you will by turn 2. When a plant token would be placed by this effect, not any effect, just this one. Put it face up as your blast token's plant gauge instead. Counterblast 1. Call up to one plant token to rear guard. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Choose a card from among them. Put it into your hand. So like I said, the plant token that you call instead becomes a plant gauge. If you have 6 or more plant gauges, look at 5 cards instead of 3. Look at 5 cards even if the number of gauges becomes 6 by this effect, which is cool. But Counterblast 1, you get a plant gauge, look at the top 3, add any card from among them to your hand. And if you have 6 plant gauges, you get to check top 5. And it just adds a card. That is more than worth a Counterblast. But its second skill. Auto Vanguard, when this unit attacks, discard 2 plant gauges, search your deck or drop, that's big, for up to 1 blast, call it to rear guard, and if you searched your deck, shuffle your deck. So, built in, without reading any of the other cards, this is a 4 attack deck. It gets you your blast token turn 2, it gets you your order turn 2, which helps you build a board, and then this guy gets you any card in your hand while also building up your plant gauges, and then uses those plant gauges to call a dude during the battle phase. And then if you remember what Vital Blaze Blast did as a second effect, when it's discarded as a plant gauge, you get to give a unit 5k, so that helps increase numbers and pressure. That's the basics of the basics of what the deck does. Now let's actually talk about the actual support as well as the deck build, because my goodness. Obviously, we have Persona Ride. Persona Ride is really strong in this deck because it's a 4 attack deck. I'm saying that, like, if you've looked into the deck, you know it's actually a 5 attack deck, but I'll get there when I get there. So here's our first one of the dragons. Solitario Frio of Winter's End. That's funny. Is that like a lone cold or single cold? I love that the names are all Spanish because I'm Hispanic in heritage. Anyway, Auto, when this unit is placed on rear guard by a card's ability, if you have 5 or more plant gauges until the end of your opponent's next turn, this unit cannot be chosen by card effects and gets critical +1. Sorry, opponent's card effects. So if you call it off of the order, or if you call it off of the main grade 3, this thing comes in with an automatic crit. Not to mention the power boost from your blast token. Yeah. So this thing already has crit pressure. Auto, rear guard, and hand at the beginning of your guard step of the battle your unit with Estacion is attacked. Put this card into drop. Choose one of your units being attacked and it gets 10,000 power until end of that battle. But you have to do this before you start calling Guardians. So basically, you pop this dude, you can give one of your Estacion Vanguards or rear guards plus 10k. So it's like a grade 3 with a shield that doesn't have a shield. So it's a little... I don't know why they just didn't give it a shield value or have an effect that has a gain shield. Maybe because they didn't want you to guard other cards with it. just basically your vanguards. So a little weird. Now, this is the one card in this current build that's expensive. You do not need to run this, but it definitely helps because of the fact that the deck revolves around an order. So when this unit is placed on rear guard from hand, other than during the battle phase, look at the top card of your deck, put it to the top and bottom of your deck, counterblast one, and perform one of the following. Choose a normal order from your drop, put it into your hand, choose a grade 2 or greater card from your drop, call it to rear guard. The big thing was getting the order back to hand, but you can also call the grade 3 to have it come out with a crit before your first attack. Or you can call it the grade 2, which gets you a plant token, yada yada. Another good card that was in here was Medius. The reason I'm not running it is because I kept on running into soul problems, but it's definitely and the reason I'm not running it is because I kept running into a little bit of soul problems, and it was kind of weird because the deck builds its own board. We'll get into that a little more as we get into the other grade 2s and grade 1s. So it's like a lot of times I just end up having this sitting in my hand. You'll notice this deck uses a lot of counterblast, a lot of soul blast, and a lot of energy blast, but you kind of got to balance it out. You'll see. But Ignacio of Summer Heat. This is probably the worst card in the deck, and the only reason I'm running it is because everything it does is free. So I mean, there's that. But when this unit is placed on rear guard by a card's ability, if you have 3 or more playing gauge, choose one of your opponent's rear guards until the end of your opponent's next turn. It cannot intercept and it cannot stand during the stand phase. It's okay. Continuous rear guard and guardian circle. If you have a Vanguard with Estacion in its card name and you have a blast token on your rear guard, this unit gets 5,000 power, 5,000 shield. So this thing's a 15k beat stick with a 10k shield as early as turn 2. And you can get 3 plant gauges right from turn 2. It's very easy, which means this thing could start stunning cards right away. Like I said, it's probably the worst card, and it's still not horrible. It's not like completely useless, which is funny that this is a start deck card, and this is the worst card in the deck. So everything else is an upgrade from this. Granolind of Autumn Dawn. This thing is arguably the best rear guard in the entire deck. So, auto drop when your plant gauge is put during your main phase. If you have a Vanguard with Estacion in its card name, counterblast one, call this card to rear guard. I promise you, you will never use that skill. Never. You don't need to. When this unit is placed on rear guard, if you have a Vanguard with Estacion in its card name, call up to 1 plant token to rear guard. That effect is bonkers because of Estacion. So I did not understand how good that was. But when you swing with Estacion and you get rid of 2 gauges, you can call this from the deck or drop, and then as soon as you call it, it makes a plant token. So this has built-in 5 attacks in a start deck. This card gives you 5 attacks. This card gives you crit pressure. And this is built in to the start deck. This is without any changes. Like that's insanely good. You have a huge plus engine, you have multi-attack, you have crit pressure, all built into the archetype of the deck. Now, we've already talked about the early game between the grade 1, the blast token, the grade 2, the order. There's even more to improve the deck's early game, but we'll get to that in a second. We have our PGs. We're playing Burrow Mushrooms, put into the soul, get 2 plant tokens, builds a board, get you soul, and this deck abuses plant tokens, so it's just super easy to use. Friendly Maiden Alvina, this is another pretty expensive card. We wanted to balance out our resources, that's why I didn't just play 4 Saphira. Alvina, what it does is when this unit is placed on rear guard from hand, other than during the battle phase, Energy Blast 3 and do one of the following. Choose an order without Regalis piece from your drop, put it into your hand. Choose a grade 1 or less unit from your drop, call it to rear guard. During your turn, if you have 4 or more units, this unit gets 2,000 power. Obviously, it's another way to get back our order and potentially build a board if we need to. And then there's this thing. This is probably the most abusable card in the deck. Act rear guard once per turn. If you have a Vanguard with a Estacion in its card name, Energy Blast 3, call a plant token. Super simple. With this unit boost, if you have 6 or more plant gauges, this unit gets 2,000 power until the end of that battle. That effect is a little meh because getting 6 plant gauges, while not difficult, usually takes till at least turn 3. I feel like that power boost could have been a little bit more, but it's fine. This dude spits out plant gauges in the early game, mid game, late game. You can literally use him, make a plant gauge, and then put the plant gauge into your blast to draw cards. Like, super easy. I went with Protection Twincast. I was looking at more of the defensive Regalis pieces because of the fact that we ideally want to play our order every turn to build up plant gauges, Superior Call, and set up for our late game, which we're going to end up removing 2 of these from our plant gauge for Estacion skill, allowing us to pump up whatever cards we call. So I went with Protection Twincast because it's just a generally good card. If the deck used a little bit less soul, I would probably have gone with Evergreen Transfer. That has become like one of my favorite Regalis pieces because I hate overtriggers, and being able to reduce the crit of an overtrigger, like, and not to mention the 25k shield. Now, trigger lineup. Obviously, Stoatia overtrigger, it's still really good. We went with fronts because this deck has a massive plus engine, but you could, if you really need to, could run draws. The deck doesn't suffer from deck out problems because a lot of its superior calling is plant tokens. It does call from the deck here and there, but it's dealer's choice. I went with the front triggers, and then of course crits and heals. All right, but that's the deck. This thing is bonkers out of the box. We're gonna go play a game real quick. All right, we got a game and we're going first. I kind of want to keep Persona Ride, but everything else can kind of go. All right, this hand's pretty good. All right. So we're going to start off by... We're actually going to discard the grade 2. He might be good in early game. Because we have the grade 1. So the grade 2 is probably the card we care the least about it being in the drop zone because we could just call it from the drop zone. But it does help us make a board. Why is it lately, every time I go to make a video testing something, I end up against Nirvana? And why does everybody and their mother want to super rush us? I promise you, you want to be more conservative than this. I'm going to just take all of these attacks. You don't actually need to. I don't really need to you take any hits right now. I could have blocked everything and been fine. But let's go. I'm going to drop and ride. Now skill of both. So we're going to Soul Blast a card with Estacion, get our Blast token, and then we're going to search for our order. Add to hand, shuffle the deck. Main phase. We're going to play the order, Soul Blast 1, look at top 5, call this grade 1. The order becomes a plant gauge, and then we're going to shuffle. Now, here's something cool we could do. We're going to use skill, Energy Blast 3, and just make a plant token. And then we'll call one more. Now we're going to take out the grade 1. Going to take that out. Critical power here, crit here. Now the only thing I should have done that I did not do here, ooh, never mind, is I could have put a rear guard in to draw a card and to start building up my blast tokens. I'm not blast them, my blast tokens plant gauges. That's what I should have did, but it is what it is. No guard. All right, we'll take one. All right, what do I want to discard here? Probably the grade 1. We have enough of them, right? Drop and ride, main phase. So check this out. We're gonna move this back. We're gonna go skill, Energy Blast 3, make a plant token, and then we're gonna move we're gonna move 3 in to draw a card. Next up, we're gonna play the order because we have it. We're gonna Soul Blast 1, put the order in, look at top 5, Call a dude. Shuffle. Dude gives us a plant gauge. And now we have 5, so now we can go skill, counterblast 1. Make a plant token that becomes a plant gauge. Look at top 5. I guess I could have did that before the order, technically. We're going to grab the PG just because we don't have one. I could also grab the beat stick, but we are at 3 damage already. So shuffle. And as I don't want to waste the Alvina, but it is what it is. So this has plus 2k power on it. And then, oh wait. I forgot. This guy can call himself from the drop. So we don't actually have to waste the Alvina. And now, since we have 6 gauges, our front row gets power plus 10k. And now we go battle phase. We're going to go 20k to Vanguard. Now we're going to go 20k to Vanguard. All right. Now we're going to go swing, skill. We're going to pay 2 gauge. I'm actually going to pay both of these because he got the trigger. So now we're going to go through our deck. We're going to call our grade 2. Skill. Call a plant token. Deck shuffle. Now because we only have 4, they only get power plus 5 instead of power plus 10. But because we got rid of the orders, I get to give units 5k, so these guys gain another 5k apiece. All right, twin drive. First check, second check. Front trigger is awesome right now, especially since he just got that. But now we got to go 35, which he has to guard. And now we go 35, which he has to guard. Awesome. But that's the 5 attacks right there. I could have also went with the dragon for crit pressure, but because he was not guarding everything, we got him to 5. And his damage triggers are crazy. Out of 5 damage, only 1 of them wasn't a trigger. But like I said, this is all just built into the start deck. I haven't played any non-start deck cards, like at all. So this right here shows you guys how bonkers this deck is from the early game, from the mid game, from the late game. I could see it not necessarily struggling against a retire deck, but its numbers definitely wouldn't be nearly as powerful, just because you wouldn't be able to give up rear guards for your blast nearly as much with a heavy retire deck, but anything else and you're going absolutely in. Because we're at four plant gauges now. I'm going to put 3 in to draw a card. I'm going to use my Vanguard skill, is going to give me 1. I don't have another order, which is unfortunate, but that still is going to give me 4, put me up to 8. Ideally, we'd want to get to 9. Ideally, but it is what it is. All right, he's going 23 to Van. We're going to guard this. He's going 31 to Van. We'll guard 33. Vanguard has triple drive. We're going to go no guard here. No triggers because they're all in your damage. Guard. And then we'll take this one. All right, easy peasy. Now it's 5 to 5. We're going to Persona Rod and put this person to sleep. So we're going to go put this into, we're going to put these 3 into our gauge. We're going to draw a card. Then we're going to, whoops, I should have went to main phase first. Vanguard skill, counterblast, get another plant gauge, look at top 5, add you to hand. That was actually really good because now we're going to go play, skill, look at the top card, We're going to put it to the drop. Now, we have two options. We can either... We're going to get back the order. We're going to kind of bless one to get back the order. But we could also get the grade 3, which would come in with a crit. But he's already at 5. If he wasn't at 5, I would do that. Now, we're going to play the order for Soul Blast 1. Which is going to put it into our plan gauge, which is going to have us look at top 5. Never mind, we still got the crit pressure. And then his skill, he gets a crit and can't be targeted. And then we're going to go skill Energy Blast 3 and make a plant token. And now this has power plus 2 on it because we have at least 6 gauge, and because we have 9 gauge, our Furrow gets power plus 15. On top of the Persona Ride. We're gonna lose 2 gauge when we swing with our Vanguard, but that's because we're still gonna have plus 10k on top of the Persona Ride. So now we're gonna go 35 to Vanguard. Obviously that wasn't the most competitive matchup to show off the deck against, but you got to see everything the deck can do. Like, we would have swung with the rear guard, which is 38, which is huge, and then we would have swung with the Vanguard, calling another copy of the grade 2. And even if you run out of them in the deck, you can still call them from the drop, so you always have 5 attacks ready to go. Granted, one of the attacks is going to be a little bit smaller because of the plant token, but then the power boost from the blast, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger as the game goes on. Like, and we still had an order in our plant gauge that we can get rid of to give something an additional 5k. Alright guys, here's another look at the deck. Like I said, this is just a first build. I didn't go too crazy with modifications, but it works so well that I was so surprised this was a start deck card coming out of the box, because this is easily could have been a triple rare in a set with how good that this entire deck functions. It superior calls like crazy, it attacks like crazy, it's got a strong early game. Like, this feels like what you would expect a Stoatia deck to play at a high level. But let me know what you guys think of Estacion. Let me know what kind of text you guys are trying. I really like this deck. I'm probably going to try and pick it up when it comes out, because, like I said, I didn't expect it to be this fun. If you guys want to see me play some Cardfight Vanguard live, come join the stream. Next Vanguard stream will be Tuesday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I would love to have you guys. We'll be messing with this along with some other decks. If you guys want to check me out on social media, those links will be down below. That's it from me, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Later.
Seeing in my eyes, I was born for this. I got demons on my side, you ain't high like this. I got reason to believe, I don't need it from my gifts. Only I can change the world and it go like this.